Enam and Carlin are phenomenal people. You'd want them as your next door neighbor.
Oh, Lord. I think we said on our way to do homework.
We're on our way to do our homework. We gotta do that over.
They're willing to do whatever it takes to support their child.
Are you being a dinosaur?
What we need to do is re-educate them to the American dream being financial security and financial independence, not ownership of assets that are hurting them and not returning for them.
Good job. Give me 5. Give me 10. All right.
Going from broke empowers young people drowning in debt
I can't do this.
to become the CEOs of their own lives. I'm Dan Rosensweig, CEO of Chegg. My co-host, Tonya Rapley, and I are here to help people find their way out of suffocating debt.
This is the year.
What you're about to see are real-time, unfiltered conversations airing the same week in which we shot them. This is Going from Broke in real time.
Through your work at your church, Enam and Carlin, I know that your faith is incredibly important to you. It is the core of your relationship and the core of your family. So when Dan and I were thinking about who we could bring in to support you, because we have answers, but we know other people have answers too, we knew that we had to connect you with Pastor DeForest Soaries, who is also a minister, and he has created a program called D Free that he has used in his own life to break his bad relationship with debt and become debt-free, but also has released it and shared it with congregations across the country. And I'm so excited for you to meet Pastor Soaries.
Hello, Pastor Soaries.
Hey, Pastor Soaries.
Hello, Tonya. Hello, Enam and Carlin.
Enam and Carlin, you know, I've had the opportunity to learn more about your story and learn more about why this home is so important to you, and understandably so. But I would love for you to share with the pastor what your background, where you come from, and why home ownership is so important to you, or why it has been, or why this is an emotional process for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. I am one of 8 children. My mom had 7 boys and 1 girl. I am the 3rd youngest, so it was never unusual to have a credit, something in your name at a young age. So you can either have the phone bill in your name, the cable bill in your name, anything at the age of 10. So we were never taught about credit score or savings and checking accounts. And well, both my parents struggled with substance abuse growing up. So we spent a few years in foster care, and many of us were separated. So one of my brothers was here, one of us was here, some was growing out the house. So we never really had that vision of owning a home or this ownership period. You know, we grew up in a rough part of Tampa where it was not unusual to see people struggling on drugs, whether it's in your house or right outside your street, your door. So growing up and seeing that kind of life, or having that kind of life where school was my safe haven. I cried when I didn't go to school because I knew I was going to have 2 meals mandatory, breakfast and lunch. So I didn't know anything about credit. I never thought about credit. I never thought about savings and checking. It was always survival mode. What can we do today in order to provide food for tonight, and then we'll worry about tomorrow when it comes?
You amaze me because, first of all, my church set up the first and only Black-owned foster care and adoption agency in the state of New Jersey. And we train families to take in foster children. And I am aware of the fact that the foster care system produces more people for the prison system than any other system in the country. And so you are a miracle. The fact that God protected you through the foster care experience and spared you the pain of becoming a statistic that ended up in jail or ended up homeless or ended up on drugs or ended up dead. You are a miracle. The other reality is that Black people, since we arrived in this country, have had obstacles and barriers placed in our way on a physical level, on a political level, on an economic level. You are homeowners, but you are the descendants of people that were not even allowed to buy houses. And so I'm so proud of what you've accomplished, because you're a living example of why we tell people it doesn't matter where you start, what matters is where you're finished.
I would like to ask you the same question I asked Tonya and Dan about how to find the balance of, really giving into your community and really sowing back, but your family has to be your first ministry. You can't go out and touch the world if your family life is in shambles. It just does not work like that. And so how do you find the balance of giving back and serving in your community, but making sure that you're spending enough time with your wife and your children?
That's a great question. I don't believe in balance. I believe in priorities. I think balance creates conflict and competition. But priorities tells you what's first, what's second, what's third, what's fourth. And I have a system for determining priorities, both daily priorities and long-term priorities, and I'll share that with you. I'll send it to you in the mail. But priorities assume that our families are first, God is second, church is third, the larger community is fourth when we're in Christian leadership. When my sons played high school basketball and AAU basketball, I would miss church programs. I left church on a couple of Sunday mornings to be at their basketball game because my position was the church could always get a new pastor, but my sons can never get a new father.
When you was climbing your way out of that debt and that sea of just bills, how much was it? What I'm trying to ask, what was your method of doing it? Was it more so, I'm gonna cling on the hope of Christ and stand on his promises? Or is this, I'm gonna just do what's tangible, what's necessary?
What I did was I just began writing down every penny that I spent on everything. That was my way of speaking to myself. I had to ask myself, where is my money going? I asked my dad to lend me $50 one time until payday, and he said, well, why don't you have it? And I said, I don't know where my money goes. And Dad said, well, it doesn't leave home while you're sleeping. Your money goes where you take it. So I had to write down and start speaking to myself about purchasing neckties, speaking to myself about driving a luxury car when I should have been driving a Honda. And then I had to submit myself. You remember the prodigal son said, I'm going back to my dad's house. Well, by the time I came to my senses, my dad had died. My dad died when he was 47 years old. So I went back to my mom's house and I said, Mom, listen, I know you don't have any extra space for me, but if I could just sleep on the floor. And so I just followed the biblical script by looking at myself, speaking to myself, and then taking my little broke self back to my mother's house.
We make little mistakes that impact our lives in such a huge way. 5 minutes of a wrong choice could lead you. Swiping your credit card takes 3 seconds, and then it takes you 5 years to pay it off, right? It's those little choices that you make that really impact your life. And then Carlin, I tell him every day that he was supposed to be a statistic. Everything that could have come against him did. And he's just an amazing person.
That's true.
I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by you too. Y'all almost had me in tears. I just love how you love each other.
Yeah.
He's such a good father and a husband. And he had no template. He just figured it out on his own. And so his life just ministers to me every single day.
So when she say, and you say I should have been a statistic, you're right, I should have been. And she said I inspire her. This girl inspired me. She is still teaching me stuff daily about all kinds of things. Like, she is so smart. And she's constantly correcting me in a loving way, like, babe, you're better than this. Go ahead, go do it. Conquer your fear. And she tell me all the time, I'm like, babe, that's tough, that's hard. She said, baby, you can do hard things. Go for it. So I push myself because she's pushing me behind the scenes. And she deserves just as much credit as I get because she is the reason, besides Jesus, that I'm here standing and doing what we're doing because of my wife in the back just saying, you can do hard things, go do it, go after it, praying for me, keeping me lifted. So it's not all me. half the times I don't know what I'm doing, but this woman right here praying for me and loving me through my mistakes give me the courage to keep doing it. So it's not on me.
Wonderful.
I just love y'all.
Don't you just love them pastor stories?
Love you too.
I'm moving in.
love y'all.
Listen, if my husband, I'm going to run away and allow y'all to adopt me.